Okay, so I'm going to show you how I mash up content to use for various different linking purposes. So I've made a new project called Video Demo and selected the directory of articles. I used Get Article Pro to scrape all these articles. There's 278 of them, and they're all for the mortgage case study that I'm doing on the FBN forum. So now that I've downloaded those and I made a copy of the original files, make sure you do that before you use Content Spiffer, because it replaces the text files that you're working with. So always keep the original somewhere separate and copy the folder over and give it a new name when you're working with Content Spiffer. The first thing I want to do is make the content more unique, and you should do this before you add links or images or anything else to the files, because obviously once you blend up the files, then you might end up with some files with no links in and then some with lots of links in. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm just going to add the directory. Okay, so I've done that, and if you're using Kevin Spinnett, for example, or any Spintax, make sure you validate the Spintax by using this button here. That's odd that it found two files with bad Spintax, even though none of this is in Spintax. Okay, so that means that some of the articles I've scraped with Get Article Pro had some of the Spintax symbols inside. So now Content Spiffer has removed those, which is great. An unexpected bonus there that it's cleared those bad files for me. I was expecting to come back with 0 results because I didn't think there was any Spintax in there. Okay, so that's done, and then the next thing I'm going to do is shuffle the paragraphs. You just simply select that and then hit blend them up, and shuffling paragraphs works quicker than the other methods. Okay, so all 276 articles have been blended together paragraph wise, and then the next thing I'm going to do is splice sentences. If you're building content for FBN, for blog network posts, don't use splice sentences because it can make the content less readable, because it's cutting each sentence in half and then mixing it with a different sentence. Just use the shuffle sentences, which is the same as shuffle paragraphs, except that of course it's shuffling out sentences instead. Okay, so I'm going to splice sentences because I'm using this for Web 2.0 work. Okay, so I'm going to blend this up as well. It's now finished doing 276 files. I could have made it more unique if I upped the number here. Uniqueness is very important. I recommend you ramp that up to 20. Those articles all mashed up now. So the next thing I'm going to do is start injecting authority links into them. Now, if you're Google, one of the things you would look for is what people are linking to. Obviously, if you find loads of content that's only linking to some thin affiliate site, then you can probably guess that it's the owner of the thin affiliate site that has actually built those links. So what we do now is that we add authority links into the mix, because if we're linking to Wikipedia or Amazon at the same time, then there's a chance that all the links in that content are written by a third party, which is what Google's looking for. They don't want people promoting their own stuff. They want to find links built by other people to your content. So in the outbound link rule sets, I've got one called authority links. So what I do is I inject between 1 and 2 authority links, and I usually inject those into the top half of the article. The reason I do that is when people are moderating Web 2.0, such as on WordPress.com or Blogger or somewhere like that, then if they see the first link is an authority link to Wikipedia or something else, there's a chance that your post will survive manual inspection. That's not always true. If they're diligent and they look down and see you've got spammy content, then they might delete it anyway. This is something I do. Also, when I'm linking to authority sites, I always use the URL. The reason I do that is that I don't actually want to help these authority links rank for any particular keywords. I just want to use a link to make myself look more genuine. And this is also important if you're trying to scrape large lists of authority links using scrapebox is how I do it, then you don't really want to be helping the competition by accident. Okay, so those are the two most important settings. Use URL and either have one fixed link or between 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. Save that. I'm going to click on the video demo. 100% of articles will use outbound links, and the rule set I've selected is authority links, and now I'm just going to add a link list. Okay, so this is my authority link list. What I did was I used Scrapebox to scrape for my target keywords, and then I trimmed the URLs down to root, removed duplicate domains, and The last thing I did was a PR check, so all these are PR 5 or higher. Then I had a quick scroll down through the list just to make sure there wasn't any direct competition, for example anyone using my exact keywords in their domain name, because they're probably just another SEO that's very good at what they do and has managed to get a page rank of 5 or more, but I don't want to be linking to them. So a lot of these sites you can see is Reuters, Huffington Post, Wells Fargo. Those are all fine to link to, especially since I'm using direct plain text links. Okay, so that's my list. I've put them into here. I'm not having images or videos, and I've selected my article directory and also HTML links. So I'm going to save that, then go to Run Projects, hit on Video Demo, which is the one I'm doing, Run Projects. Okay, and you can see it's added 410 links to 276 files in about 2 seconds, which is pretty good. That saves time doing it manually. And also you can see that that number is somewhere between 100% of the amount and 200%, so each file has a random amount of links between 1 and 2. Okay, so now I've got the authority links in there. I want to inject my own links, so I'm going to make a new rule set called mortgage links. Let's create the rule set, and I'm going to have a fixed number of links, exactly 1, that's fine. I'm going to usually use keywords and occasionally use URLs. This is important for link diversity, anchor diversity rather. You shouldn't always use keywords. A lot of people will link using direct plain links naturally, so you want to try and emulate the natural pattern. I think that placing links between paragraphs looks a bit fishy. Between sentences is better, but I prefer to put them anywhere and then also randomly distribute through the whole article. And this is because doing things like putting links at the end of the content, such as in article directories, that's a pretty obvious footprint. Your anchor text is at the end of any page of content, and I'm almost certain that Google checks things like that when they're looking for spun content. Even if you spin content, the chances are your links are going to be in the same part of the article, and that's something they look for. So with Content Spiffer, we can just inject that anywhere. So I've got all my settings there. That didn't take long, and now let's go to this project here. Okay, so this is the same project as earlier, and again I want to use 100% of articles will use outbound links. It's the same folder that I used earlier, so I don't have to change that. And I'm going to change my rule set to mortgage links 1, and I'm going to remove that. Instead, add my list of URLs and keywords. Selected the links list, and remember to save project and then run. I'm going to run this again. You can see that it's worked fine, and that even though I've changed the rules for this project, it's loaded the new settings. You can see because it's added 1 link to each file. So that's definitely worked. So now I have unique content with authority links inside, and also links to my money site and also my tiers. And when I say tiers, I mean other stuff that's linking to my money site. So this is going to be blasting all of them, and I'm going to be using this content in Xroomer, SENuke X, Ultimate Demon, maybe Six Submitter if I feel like it. That just gives you an idea of how quickly you can mash content together. When it comes to building tiers, you really want to focus on quantity, because in order to pass manual inspections from websites like WordPress.com, you really have to have high quality content, or you have to put lots of content up with no links and wait for those accounts to mature and then add the links afterwards. If you're running lots of projects, you forget to go back to those things, so it's a waste of time, unless you're really, really organized. Just try and get quantity up, and for that, you can just try and get your content as unique as possible, so Google will index it and give your links some credit. That's the objective, to build links to get rankings, so don't worry too much about quality when it comes to building tiers. Okay, thanks.